At last, we are back to the Damascus barrels. Over the last year, I set out on the long project of trying to rediscover barrel forging techniques through the ages. From 18th century wrought iron barrels to 19th century helically wrapped and welded Damascus barrels, to the eventual goal of being able to recreate the incredible Zenob Graham text Damascus helically welded Damascus barrels. I wanted to make a barrel that's got my name in Damascus running all the way up it, and we were almost there. But at the beginning of March, we set out on a 2-day restoration of my 1915 Massey steam hammer, and that turned into one of the most educational and challenging 3-month projects of my entire workshop career. It is now running right, which means that I can now, at last, pick back up on the Damascus barrel project, but since it's been 3 months, I've got no idea where we are. Let's figure out where we are by having a look at the most recent video in the series.
Jamie, I think I've f***ed it up. I think we are screwed.
Oh.
I don't know what to do about it.
Oh boy. Well, there goes my positive attitude for the morning. Let's go find the steel and get stuck in. Where is the steel? Hi, Jamie, mate. Do you have any idea where we put the steel for the barrels? Yeah, I can't find it anywhere. Where is it? Oh, second workshop. Oh my goodness, thank goodness. Yes! Huh. That's exactly where I left it. Okay, so now the reason we were in a pickle last time is it turns out after I twisted these the first time, despite my best efforts and copious amounts of testing, I hadn't twisted them enough. And part of the reason for that is not actually being able to properly identify the twist rate that we were applying to it. I bought copious amounts of paint markers in case that would provide us a high temperature marking solution. They just come off in the oxidation. And so the solution I'm gonna go for to hopefully identify the twist rate now is physically deforming the metal in such a way that we can observe how it's twisted. Right now it's round. It needs a little divot or a little bulge. So here's the plan. I'm going to take these swaging dies here and I cut a groove in one of them with an angle grinder. Well, that was useless. There's meant to be an impression running up there. I can't see anything. But the overlap on the edges of the dies on both sides is way more visible. Maybe I should just be using the overlap and then use that as our guide. Okay, that's going to be the best way to do it. Those lines from the overlap of the swaging dies, that's going to be our best bet. There we go, that'll hopefully be visible, and it shouldn't be too proud that it forms cold shuts as it forges back in. Obviously a big concern is whether this deforms the pattern too much, but pros and cons, weighing it all up. Hopefully it works out. Now time to get all twisted. At the end of the last episode, I discussed the topic of potentially building a twisting machine. I was going to get a VFD, motor, foot controllers, gearbox, all of that. Then it occurred to me, why spend all this money on a motor when, oftentimes, walking around the workshop, I have access to two far funnier, far more charming, and far more beautiful motors in my wife or Jamie that have the benefit of being voice controlled. And so, a few months ago, I built myself a human-powered twisting machine, and that's what we're going to use. Right, now where is it? Not this again. Not this again. Oh, for goodness sake. Jamie, you got any idea where I left that twisting jig, mate? Yeah, I know, second time today. Oh, thank goodness. There we go. This bolt's there. That bolt's here. Spin this, go twisty twist. Now, the way this will work is I weld 2 M12 nuts on the end of each bar. The nuts go into the sockets. 1, 2, more twisting, less twisting. Other side. So that will go like that. This will go like that. And then the twisting begins. Let's not mess it up. Okay, slight twisting. Question is, how tight do I want to go? So it's a bit hard to know exactly how much further to twist because we don't have like a known starting point since well, a lot has happened. But now, since we have the ribs on either side of the round bar, we know that the pitch of our twist is a distance of here to there, because that is the rib on one face, and it comes all the way around and back over to this face. So we now have a 40mm pitch on top of whatever pitch of twist we had previously. I thought it was 20mm, but apparently it bloomin' wasn't. All right, we're gonna tighten it up just a little bit, make our pitch about 5mm shorter. Stop. A little more. Stop. There we go. More. Stop. Ooh, I can both slow the twist and speed it up with some of this. Trouble is I got it way too tight in here. So, you know, we'll learn slowly. Stop. Wow, I'm screwing this up. It's so hard. It's so hard to get it consistent. Okay, they're only going to get better from here. We really started to hit our groove on this last third. Definitely could have been better up here. Must say, those little marks from the swaging dies, perfect for keeping track of the twists. On to the next one. Okay. And there we go, that's all 4. Done. Oh, I am loving this hammer. Oh, it's just so good. That is 4 of them successfully twisted to a tighter pitch, forged back out to square. Oh, at last. This is where we were meant to be at the end of our last episode. And in fact, it's exactly where we were at the end of our last episode on this project 3 months ago. Hey-ho, let's not dwell on these things. I tell you what I will dwell on, though. The re-restored Massey is absolutely delightful. I didn't think I could love this hammer any more than I did when we set off for our restoration. And here we are. I love this hammer even more than I could have possibly imagined. She's a beauty. Right, guys, if you've been holding off on building a website, please take the time today to give it a try. Go to today's sponsor, which is squarespace.com/forge, and try building a website. It is really, really simple. A neighbor of mine was just asking me the other day, Alec, you know, I'm nervous to build a Squarespace website. I say, no, just give it a shot. It's so fabulously easy and intuitive. You can sell unlimited digital or physical products. You can run your email marketing campaigns there. You can book clients with Squarespace scheduling, and the best part is you can manage it on the go on your phone. The Squarespace app is great. You can dive into your analytics, manage all your inventory, and easily add new products. Look, I could sell this steam hammer in just 5 clicks for the low, low price of £1 million. Discard, discard. I would never sell this Massey. I'm sorry for even joking about it. But I wouldn't be able to say that if it wasn't for me having got a start building a Squarespace website when I was a teenager to allow me to sell my products and build a business doing what I love. So go build a beautiful website for your passion and your business at squarespace.com/forge. You'll get a free trial, and code FORGE at checkout is going to get you 10% off all of your purchases with Squarespace. So all 4 of these need to be forge welded together into a flat bar that is referred to in the historical text as a ribband. Now, I need to make sure I find the correct orientation of these pieces so that we have a Damascus that says Alec Steele, not Alec Steele steel. And then we're going to need to grind the mating surfaces down to some clean material so that we can get some clean forge welds, otherwise known as diffusion bonds, where we're going to heat it up, and at that high temperature, with the pressure of the hammer striking it, we're going to get those pieces to bond at a molecular level, which is pretty awesome. Got to find which bar's steel and which bar's Alec. We've done test etches. We've determined that this is the order it needs to be. 2, 3, 1, 4, and 4 needs to be rotated around. So up comes 4. Move you around this way. Gosh. Okay, so then I need to put 1 behind. Boom, and that should replicate this. 2, 3, 1, and a flipped 4. Remember, the nature of these twisted patterns where you grind in and expose it is on one half of it, you're going to read it perfectly, but then on the other half of the bar, it's going to be mirrored and inverted. Now, there is a technique to have it so that your finished piece only has the correct written text, but that reduces the amount of material we have by half. And so I was hoping I could do this. This is, again, a technique that Steve Culver documented in his research paper. But given the severe lack of material that we have, despite having started with 45 kilos, about 100 pounds of it, we're not going to be utilizing that technique. Just got to send it, mark them up, clean them up, weld them together into our ribband. Now, in the interest of taking the absolute safest approach to getting all of these things welded together, with the least chance of any contamination from oxidation between these parts, the most chance of them staying square and not deforming, I've decided that instead of welding them just like this, we're going to put a jacket on it. Much like when you step outside on a blizzard of a day in the middle of January. Sometimes a little cozy jacket is all it takes to protect you from the elements, to be able to enjoy the day. Much the same for our bits of steel. Just welded it to the table. Nice work. All right, so we've got our 4 pieces tacked together. As you will see, I begun doing our jacket, and then I started having second thoughts. Much like that little annoying gap between winter and spring, or spring and summer. Sometimes you set out with the best of intentions to make sure that you are protected from the elements, and then you decide, actually, I'd rather just go shirtless. That's what I decided here. I don't know why. I had a feeling, a gut feeling. But what we're gonna do on our material that we have spent months and months working on and is worth thousands and thousands of pounds in just materials alone, is 1/3 of it is going to utilize the jacket and 2/3 of it is not. But Alec, how are we going to solve the topic of shielding these welding surfaces from the elements and from the oxygen? Well, it's going to be with the help of either one of these 2 contraptions, either with an argon curtain draped over top of it, or an idea that's been in front of me my whole life, but I've never thought to apply in this context, burning off all the oxygen with a reducing flame from our oxypropane torch. Of course, we don't know how well it's going to work in this particular application, but I know full well in a coke forge, when you want to do forge welding, you make sure that the piece of steel is in a reducing part of the fire. Why not apply the same principle here? So either we're going to burn all the oxygen away with the torch, or we're going to push it out of the way with the argon. We'll have to experiment and see. Another note, look at this, another carver clamp. Guys, my collection is growing. I'm so delighted. A few videos ago I mentioned I'm in the market to buy more beefy clamps, and one of you very kindly gave me a delightful assortment of them. Thank you so much. You know who you are. So, plan's gonna be as follows. Take a little scrap of mild steel, heat it up with the torch blowing and see how much scale is formed with the argon, without. Let's see how she looks. An important thing to figure out is if the water cooling of this cooler is enough to keep the coils cool when there's a flame being thrown right at them. Okay, control in regular atmosphere. Here we go. Okay, that's our regular atmosphere heat as it cools. Okay, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Bit hard to bloom and see the color though. Oh, I think it might be working. Let's have a look. There we go. That is in the flame. Oh, look how good that is on the bottom. Oh, you know what that tells me? That was the top surface. That is the bottom. The bottom has almost no thick oxide, whereas the top has the kind of bubbly scale. That tells me that the torch coming from the bottom did a good job of getting the oxygen away. How sick! Now we just gotta get the torch to hit it from the bottom and the top. How? Hello. Lovely, I like the carbon. Oh, it's wet from the water that gets made when you burn a hydrocarbon. That's crazy. Or I guess maybe the condensation. Must be the condensation. Okay, now we'll try argon. Yeah, not having as good an effect with the argon there. Can't get the argon too close because this is a plastic hose. Let's see if we can envelop this fella, eh? Look, you there. Open this. Whoa! How about that? Kind of blowing the other one away. It's like a battle of flames. God, I'm getting excited about this new discovery about propane. Imagine if we could contain all the heat from the propane and then instead of heating it with the induction, we could have like a box that would just let the propane superheat the steel in a nice reducing environment. That'd be super neat. All right, let's test it. Oh, it's beautiful. I can't see any scale. How sick is that? Oh, baby! That looks great. It's obviously oxidizing now a little bit. Now it's exposed, but I think we got ourselves a technique. Let's rock and roll. Got almost half of it welded, but I need to flip it around because it's starting to get really floppy as it gets hot. I have decided, I've made my Final decision, re-jackets. I'm gonna get this jacket off. Getting the temperature right in the induction forge, like if you let it heat for a second too long, you're gonna burn the thing and melt it in half. The jacket's gonna obscure that, so it's coming off. I like how this looks like it's welding. I think we can trust the process. You don't know what the weather's gonna be like for the day, and then you go, ooh. You pull out that move from like 3rd grade, just in case. But like, who really likes doing that? God, thank goodness I spent all this time putting this jacket on. Booyah. I've got to hope that this is going to work, because all of this looks solid. And it's all done in like 1 hit per welding heat. I think this is going to be the last heat. Ow! There we go. Come on now. That is hopefully all forge welded. Right, well, I say forge welded. Really, I mean kind of stuck, because one single hit, though in principle there's not much oxidation, and though it was a pretty hard hit, ow, doesn't mean that that bond is as strong as it can be, right? There are 3 things at play with making a nice forge weld. Well, in the moment, that's temperature, pressure, time. The more pressure you can apply while forge welding, the less time you need. The less temperature you have, the less pressure or time you need, but the more oxidation you risk getting. Currently, those 4 bars have been exposed to an incredibly short amount of time at temperature, having experienced the pressure of that hammer blow. So though they're stuck, I'm not going to consider these as properly welded as we need them to be for the next step until we do a good bit more forging. We can trade the benefit of short heats that we got with the induction for the long heats of the gas forge. I don't mind if the material oxidizes a little bit more, because all of those mating surfaces, those interfaces, are now squished together. There's some degree of bonding, stopping any more oxygen from getting in there, and so I can use the gas forge very safely now, just like I do on the thousands upon thousands of forge welds that I've ever done in a gas forge. Have I done thousands and thousands of forge welds in a gas forge? If you count the individual layers of every single piece that I've ever assembled, it's definitely thousands and thousands. It is looking good. I'm pretty happy with the choice to use the induction heater on those first welds. I'm not seeing anything I don't like the look of at the moment. And you know what happens when you say that out loud? You jinx the entire project. So let's just pretend I didn't say that out loud. Oh, my hands are on fire. My glove is burning me. Oh, it hurts. That looks good indeed. All right, might be our last heat here. Speaking of gifts, another subscriber gave me these gloves. These are some of the best thick gloves I've ever worn. They're so soft. And check this out. They've got like an extra layer of leather here. It's like a reverse mitten. Extra protection on the fingers. Ooh, can recommend. Now we need to put a couple angles on it. Let's briefly remember what happens to a bit of metal when you bend it. Have a look at the top and have a look at the bottom, right? I bend it. The top has to stretch. As I bend the top, it gets thinner and thinner. That's because the far edge is in tension, whereas the inner edge of the bend is in compression. That means after a bend, the cross-section is no longer consistent as the width of the outer edge decreases and the inner increases. So, if you have a look at this now, trapezium cross-section, what we're going to do is we're going to reverse it. We are going to pre-form this the opposite direction to that. So the outer edge is wider, the inner is narrower. See that cross-section? Now let's see, when we bend towards the narrow side, hopefully, once that bend is done, we get much closer to parallel sides. Clearly the preform could have been a little bit better there, but everything we can do in Play-Doh is the same in steel. So there's our die for forging that cross-section. I had to make it a little bit wider than it was a few months ago, since this bar is a little bit wider than the previous ones. Chuck that in there, bring the ram down, tighten it up, and put this fella in the forge. Not quite filling the die as much as I would have hoped, guys. I think I made it a little bit wider than it needs to be. Sides here haven't really filled into the die. Well, now I shrunk the die too much and we're getting too much flashing on the edges. That's wasted material. Don't want wasted material.
14th time's the charm.
Please, sir, work! Okay, fingers crossed. Oh, you've got to be joking! It's too wide again! Oh, I went way too hard. What is wrong with me? I way overdid it. Why would I do that? Yeah, that ain't gonna work. All right, gently does it this time. Ah! Ay, ay, ay.
That's more bloomin' like it, boys.
The hilarious thing, all the time that I've just spent making this tooling, I could have just put that in the fire and done this with a hand hammer instead. Okay, let's test it. Better, but not great. See, it's got like a little facet in there. Yeah, you can see it in the die there. Little facet on the edge. That's better. That fills the angle and that inner corner much better. We've got about 5.5 feet of material. We're gonna let that cool down. Got the bulk of the angle put on there with the forging die. Now I'm gonna clean it up with a grinder. Just making a mark of where I think I'm gonna have to forge this a little bit more because I don't wanna have to do that much grinding. So currently we've got 74 inches, which is 11 inches more than last time, of a slightly wider trapezoid bar. This does mean, I think, we're gonna end up with more barrel than we did on the previous attempt, which is great. This is so exciting! But I am still so blown away by what these Belgian blacksmiths were able to do back in the day. Please go build yourself a website at squarespace.com/forge. Appreciate them sponsoring us, and I cannot wait to catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye. Oh, those splits are bad!